What happens when America's most famous sisters, who built an empire on beauty, branding, and unity, find themselves torn apart by rage? What happens when the glossy facade of perfection cracks and cameras capture not glamour but raw, unfiltered chaos? The answer lies inside a quiet, dimly lit room where the Kardashian sisters try therapy after an explosive family fight. This wasn't scripted drama, not a staged moment for ratings. It was real, and it was brutal. The air still carried the echo of raised voices, the sting of betrayal, and the painful realization that fame doesn't protect family from breaking apart. The fight had erupted like a storm no one expected. Kourtney, Kim, and Kardashian, three women who had stood shoulder to shoulder through marriages, divorces, scandals, and triumphs, were suddenly at war with each other. Their words weren't just disagreements, they were daggers. For years, the Kardashian sisters tried to keep their public image polished, but behind closed doors, resentment brewed. That night, it finally exploded. The fight began over something seemingly small, as so many family battles do. A disagreement about schedules, priorities, and appearances quickly spiraled into a battlefield of old wounds. Kim accused Kourtney of not pulling her weight, of drifting away from the family brand. Kourtney snapped back, saying she was tired of living life as if it were a business deal. Kardashian tried to mediate, her voice strained with desperation, but soon she too was pulled into the flames. Cameras rolled as tears turned into screams, and screams turned into silence so sharp it felt suffocating. Producers knew this was different. This wasn't light-hearted banter or playful sibling rivalry. This was an implosion, and when the fight ended, the room was left shattered. Words couldn't be unsaid, feelings couldn't be erased. It was then Kris Jenner, the ever-strategist and mother, suggested something unthinkable for a family so protective of its image: therapy. The Kardashian sisters try therapy after explosive family fight. Those very words seemed surreal. Therapy wasn't about photo shoots, wasn't about branding, and wasn't about ratings. It was about survival. The day of the session arrived. The sisters entered separately, their faces etched with pride and hurt. The therapist's office was stripped of glamour. No cameras, no luxury interiors, just a neutral space where truth hung heavy. As the narrator, I was there, watching as the Kardashian sisters tried therapy after explosive family fight. The silence at first was unbearable. They avoided each other's eyes, their bodies stiff, guarded. For women who lived every day in the spotlight, this was the most vulnerable stage they had ever stepped onto. The therapist began with simple words. "Why are you here?" Kim, always quick to command the room, broke first. Her voice cracked as she admitted that the explosive fight had left her shaken. For years, she said, she believed business and family could always coexist, that the Kardashian brand was the glue. But in that fight, she realized the glue was cracking. Kourtney shifted uncomfortably, muttering that she was tired of being seen as a commodity rather than a sister. And Kardashian, her voice trembling, admitted she was tired of being the mediator, always caught in the crossfire, always the one trying to hold the fragile balance. As the Kardashian sisters tried therapy after explosive family fight, the air filled with unspoken truths. For the first time, they weren't talking for an audience. They weren't posing for cameras. They were stripped bare, admitting wounds that had been ignored for years. Kourtney confessed she often felt suffocated, her choices questioned, her independence stifled. Kim revealed the crushing weight of responsibility, the constant pressure to keep the empire thriving. Kardashian confessed her loneliness, how often her own needs were buried beneath the needs of others. The therapist pushed deeper. "Do you trust each other?" The silence that followed was deafening. Trust, once their strongest bond, was now fractured. As the Kardashian sisters tried therapy after explosive family fight, trust itself became the battleground. Each sister recounted moments of betrayal, secrets shared, promises broken, boundaries crossed. Tears flowed freely, but this time they weren't about anger, they were about grief. Slowly, the session shifted. The therapist asked them to speak not as business partners, not as celebrities, but as sisters. Courtney looked at Kim, her eyes wet, and admitted she missed her. She missed laughing without it turning into arguments, missed sisterhood without strategy. Kim, shaken, admitted she had taken their bond for granted. Khl's sobs filled the room as she confessed she feared they'd never heal, that the explosive fight was a breaking point they couldn't come back from. But therapy is about facing the darkness to find light. As the Kardashian sisters tried therapy after explosive family fight, glimmers of that light appeared. They began to see not rivals, not competitors, but the little girls they once were, the sisters who played together, dreamed together, and leaned on each other long before the cameras came. The therapist ended the session with a challenge, to rebuild their bond not for cameras, not for fame, but for themselves. Walking out, the sisters didn't hold hands. They didn't embrace. But their eyes told a different story. Something had shifted. The wounds were still raw, but for the first time in a long time, healing had a chance. And that is the paradox of this family. The Kardashians built their empire on visibility, but it was in that hidden therapy room, away from the glare of fame, that the truest drama unfolded. The explosive fight wasn't just a clash of egos, it was a cry for connection. Therapy wasn't just an experiment, it was a lifeline. The Kardashian sisters tried therapy after explosive family fight, and though the outcome remains uncertain, one thing became clear. Beneath the empire, beneath the fame, they are still just sisters, struggling to hold on to each other in a world determined to tear them apart.